Okay, I'm just gonna get us live on Twitch and YouTube and get super chat set up, and I'll be right back. Welcome to the People's Receipts, episode I think 89, almost to 90. Time flies when you're having fun. W- Almost ready to go. Give me one more second to set up YouTube, and we'll get this slightly depressing party started. Hey, Steph. Sorry, talking to Steph in the YouTube chat. Welcome, welcome. It's Thursday. Sorry, I've taken in so much information in the last like 5, 6. I didn't run today. I didn't work out. I think that's why I feel scatterbrained. Waiting. I was trying to wait for my ADHD medication to kick in more. I think I'm gonna be good. But I've taken in so much information. I almost forgot all of it. Like so much weird stuff is going on, but we'll try to cover all the most important things. And what we don't cover today, we will get to tomorrow. Oh, yes. Pin live call. Okay. Okay. Can you guys hear me okay? Yeah. Hi. Hey, Danny. Hey, Dolphin. Another crazy day in paradise. I know. That's exactly how I feel. That's exactly. Wait till you see the stuff I have to show you. You have no idea how true that is. And then I just was like, oh, wait, where did my outline? Hold on. Let me make sure my outline is up. Okay. It's okay. Can't have that. Switch. Make sure Discord's up. Okay. And then I just opened my computer and I feel like I saw this morning, but that guy, that officer in the Breonna Taylor pew pewing, the Justice Department is asking for a 1-day sentence for him. I hate this world. What's his name? It seems like Brett Hankinson or something, I believe. That's the update. I was like, God, that's depressing. Just this is a New York Times article. It's called "The Justice Department Asked for 1-Day Sentence for Ex-Officer Convicted in Breonna Taylor Raid." Cool. Cool. That's what you get when you break into an innocent person's house and unalive them is a 1-day sentence. I d I can't deal with that, and I haven't read about it. It just came to my inbox, so I don't know much more than that. I'm trying not to just read headlines without knowing what I'm talking about, but man, that one was just like a punch to the gut. I mean, it's like the 5th punch to the gut in the Breonna Taylor case. Jesus. Let me get some Gatorade and water really quick, and then we'll get going because we have a lot to cover. Okay. First thing that's really important before we start talking about all the horrifically depressing things we have to talk about is, I was informed this morning by a MAGA podcaster that we all need to be careful. You know those hanging air fresheners in your car that go on like the mirror? Well, they're making people gay. So I'm just here to warn everyone in case you have one of those air fresheners in your car, that hangs on the rear of your mirror, that it is in fact turning you gay. MAGA podcasters are very upset about this and they are sounding the alarm. Thank God. I mean, I have no idea. I don't know what these people are talking about. But like, I was thinking about it. I was like, this is insane. And then I was like, wait, no, it's not. The head of Health and Human Services is telling people that, like, fluoride's turning people gay. So I guess this is just an extension of once you get into like the granola MAGA anti-vaxxer types, the ones that are like chemicals are turning the kids gay. I think that's what they're talking about. But I just thought it's important. that if you have an air freshener in your car, that could be the reason. If you're starting to be attracted to the same sex, it could be your hanging Christmas tree air freshener. Tap the screen. Wait, is this? Oh,
freshener is turning you gay. Our air freshener is turning you gay. It is depleting you of testosterone. It is wrecking your hormones. I just was in an Uber and the Uber driver had like a pack of car fragrance trees.
Understand? I mean, I don't want, because, like, do you understand how idiotic just that sentence was? Like, it's depleting your testosterone. What does your testosterone level have to do with whether or not you're with your sexual orientation? Let me help you. Nothing. Like, what? Like, what? Do you know what I'm saying? Maybe she means like changing your gender, but it's like, first of all, who are these people? And it's unbelievable, like that these people get paid so much money and get to go to these Turning Point USA conferences, and it's like, what are you What? Hold on, let me start it over.
Our air freshener is turning you gay. It is depleting you of testosterone. It is wrecking your hormones. I just was in an Uber and the Uber driver had like a pack of car fragrance trees.
That happened to me yesterday.
Yeah.
I had to hold my breath the whole ride.
Exactly. It's disgusting, right? It needs to be banned. None of the artificial fragrance air fresheners in a car. So I tell the Uber driver, you realize that those are turning you gay. He parks to drop me off. He immediately grabs the pack of trees and he puts them in the trash can. He goes, thank you for telling me that. That's all it takes.
I can't believe people still use those.
I just saved that man's balls. Those can make you very, very sick. It can make it hard to get pregnant. I mean, there's a myriad of issues with anything that has perfume or fragrance that's artificial in it.
Not one thing she said has anything to do with your sexual orientation, which I find very confusing. Like, what? MAGA influencers have to be the dumbest people on this planet. Yeah, everything you listed has nothing to do with sexual orientation, but thank you for sharing that with us. Yeah, like if you can't get pregnant, I think, does that make you gay? Or does that mean you have infertility issues? If your hormones are imbalanced, does that make you gay? No. If you have low testosterone, men just, their testosterone just drops, from like 30 on. Does that make them gay? Or does that mean it kind of makes them a little chubby in the middle and and tired? Like, does it cause them to lose muscle mass? It's like, and she's so dead serious about it. She's like, yeah, nailed it. Nailed it. Like, good Lord Jesus. I just thought everyone, like, but just in case you have an air freshener. If I was that Uber driver, I thought when she was telling that story, she's going to be like, the Uber driver pulled over and told me to get out of the car. I would be like, I'm not taking you in. Like, I'm dumber for having let you in this vehicle. This is why I can't drive Uber, for fear I'd pick her up. Like, truly. It does explain so much. She literally made that video and watched it back and was like, nailed it. Nailed it. Nothing here would imply that I'm an idiot whatsoever. I know. I had no idea I was gay because of air fresheners, Like, I could have been straight. Now now I like men and women, probably because of air fresheners in cars. Before we get into the like crazy depressing news, I'm gonna Caroline Leavitt was doing another horrible press conference of lies. And I never showed you guys this because we had so much to talk about. It was, we had so much going on Monday and Wednesday that I didn't show you guys this, but I don't know if you guys saw, there's two things that people keep talking about, these like, Trump's hands, and then like the fact he has no ankles anymore, like his legs are, which circulation problems, I understand that, he just, blood is just like fluid is just sitting in his legs. They're like tree trunks. He literally has no ankles anymore. And so, oh, hey, Mary. Yeah, come. Nice to see you, Marianne. Thanks for not maybe we can scream at each other some other time. A pleasure as always. Have a good day. Yeah, so these are the two things this week, particularly reporters in press conference keeps asking about his hands and what's wrong with his hands. And to the point where now they're, I guess, had to like admit that something's wrong with him. And I wanted to play this clip there because, first of all, remember, this is a narcissist who's trying to pretend he's God. And people have asked enough times that they have to give an answer. So they're saying that the very clear problem he has with circulations, with his veins, everything has to do with shaking too many hands. I used to work in corporate America. I used to sit at advertising conferences and shake like thousands of hands. I don't know of anyone who this happens to from shaking too many hands. But I just thought I would record this because I never talked about it on Monday or Wednesday and show you guys the clip. This is from a press conference that just happened with a reporter asking Caroline about this.
In the media have been speculating about bruising on the president's hand and also swelling in the president's legs. So in the effort of transparency, the president wanted me to share a note from his physician with all of you today. In recent weeks,
same physician that said he's 6'3", 180 pounds. Like to that same physician? What could go wrong? Why shouldn't we the same physician that said he's built like an NFL receiver? Like, why would we not listen to that physician?
President Trump noted mild swelling in his lower legs. In keeping with routine medical care and out of an abundance of caution, this concern was thoroughly evaluated by the White House medical unit. The president underwent a comprehensive examination, including diagnostic vascular studies. Bilateral lower extremity venous Doppler ultrasounds were performed and revealed chronic venous insufficiency, a benign and common condition, particularly in individuals over the age of 70. Importantly, there was no evidence of deep vein thrombosis or arterial disease. Laboratory testing included a complete blood count, comprehensive metabolic panel, coagulation profile, D-dimer, B-type natriuretic peptide, and cardiac biomarkers. All results were within normal limits. An echocardiogram was also performed and confirmed normal cardiac structure and function. No signs of heart failure, renal impairment, or systemic illness were identified. Additionally, recent photos of the president have shown minor bruising on the back of his hand. This is consistent with minor soft tissue irritation from frequent handshaking and the use of aspirin, which is taken as part of a standard cardiovascular prevention regimen. This is a well-known and benign side effect of aspirin therapy. And the president remains in excellent health, which I think all of you witness on a daily basis here. So the president wanted me to share that note with all of you. I'm happy to take.
This is a side effect of aspirin therapy. I don't know. Like I think I screenshotted it, but I was listening to a clip that I didn't clip the clip, but David Pakman, I think on his podcast or something, was talking about how I don't know, someone he knew's hand looked like that or something, and they had like congestive heart failure. I think I like took a screenshot of it. This is the Midas Touch release, like right after this clip was played in the press conference. Donald Trump has been diagnosed with chronic venous insufficiency. This is a condition where veins have trouble sending blood from the legs back to the heart, often due to valve damages. Well, that is a heart problem. This can lead to blood pooling in the legs, causing various symptoms and complications. Yeah, my dad's legs are swelling pretty bad, so I get that. Here, you can tell Trump has like serious compression socks on. Stage 3 and above. Oh, so this is like the breakdown. Stage 3 and above indicate chronic venous insufficiency, giving Trump swollen ankles and alterations in color to Trump's skin. He is likely at minimum stage 3 or 4. Interesting. Okay, so and then I just thought it was funny because this is one of the guy always plays clips and right underneath it's fade. Oh, I'm just reporting. These are just the receipts. I'm just showing you the receipts. You know, journalists are asking questions, just whatever. But I never told anyone that on Monday or Tuesday, and people have repeatedly been asking about that in press conferences. Oops. But I thought this was funny because this is what's funny about it. So this question gets asked, and I swear to you, like seconds after the press conference ended. Like, it's like Trump calls Fox and is like, tell them I have the strongest handshake ever. Like, seconds after the press conference ends, Fox is like, Well, he's got the strongest handshake ever. Look at you can see the like discoloration on his, which I assume is like some sort of flesh bandage, but oopsies. Wait, where's my clip? There it is.
Serious, it's completely benign, it's cosmetic, and it's expected from a man in his late 70s who's standing on his feet all the time. And to your point about shaking hands, her point about shaking hands, Carolyn Levitt says, look, he's on an Aspen, he shakes a lot of hands. I've shaken the man's hand. He gives a very vigorous handshake. Serious, it's
Being shook. Like, is everyone okay in this country? He gives a very vigorous handshake. I bet you have shaken his hand. Yeah, sir. Like, creep. Oh, I did screenshot it. This is what I was talking. This was from yesterday from David Pakman. He said Trump's ankles are swollen, his hand is bruised and now covered with makeup. That's not normal. Possible causes: congestive heart failure, IVs, blood thinners. Of course, we have no idea because the White House won't ever tell us a thing. Like, this is what I'm saying. This has been widely talked about, like on X and stuff. So I assume that's why they're finally like getting a doctor's note. And Aaron Rupar, who's one of my favorite journalists, said the White House wants you to believe this was caused by shaking too many hands. That's literally what they said there. It says this could happen to anyone who shakes too many hands. God forbid. Oh, and then there's one more question about his legs, I think, that I recorded.
Steve, go.
Back to your letter that you read at the beginning.
Sure.
The president, you said mild swelling in his legs.
Yes,
is
sir.
it causing him any discomfort? How are you treating it?
Nope. No discomfort from the president at all, and you probably all see that on a day-to-day basis.
Oh, are you? I see him dragging one of his legs up the stairs of Air Force One. I saw him fall up the stairs of Air Force One, and everyone pretending repeatedly like it is not happening. Like, what are you? He's literally dragging one of his legs behind him when he tries to get on airplanes. Like, what? But and don't get me wrong, like I do agree, like when you get late 60s, 70s, depending on what's wrong with you, but when you guys keep saying, oh, he's in perfect health, he's in perfect health. Yeah, well, you know who else's legs are swollen like that? My dad's, and he is not in perfect health. And when you are in perfect health, your legs aren't swollen to the size of tree trunks. So, you know, your ankles aren't gone. And then again, I don't know if Trump always had cankles. Like, I don't, I actually have never seen Trump's ankles. Now that I really think about it, I don't know. I don't know if he ever had them in the first place. But like, you know what I'm saying? Like his calf and his ankle are literally the same size. That is not in perfect health. Well, that's my point. Just remember, they still bring up oh my God, I always want to say that receiver from the Dallas Cowboys that dated Kim Kardashian briefly. Not Lloyd Austin. Remember when he went and got cancer treatment? They're like, this is a scandal. We need to fire the 4-star general. Like, let's get rid of him. We never get any straight answers. The only thing we know is Trump is in perfect health, except for his legs are swollen like tree trunks. He keeps dragging one leg behind him and can't get up the plane steps. He's literally fallen up the steps and tripped several times, and then we pretend it doesn't happen. Now this stuff with his hands, but even though they finally acknowledged it's happening and gave a diagnosis, he's still in perfect health. And he's 6'3" and like, what is it? Like 190. And he's another person entirely who's like an NFL defensive end. I don't know. But Democrats have a problem with the truth. I don't know. I think we're in hell. The other thing I didn't show you that I wanted, like, because I just didn't have time to talk about it, I think on Wednesday, God, time flies when you're having fun. I guess it was yesterday. I think it happened on Tuesday. Well, actually, let me show you the clip first, because I think I recorded the actual clip, so you won't be like, what the hell are you talking about? Like, so yesterday was the 16th. Yeah, it was Tuesday. So on Tuesday, Trump's talking at some sort of summit where he was like falling asleep. Oh, I mean, he was fighting for his life to stay awake. Orange Grandpa was just nodding off over and over and over at this summit. But he just starts. This is what I'm talking about this man has no idea where he is or what he's talking about. You know how he sometimes in order to say he's smart. The man who thinks a dementia test is an IQ test. And sometimes in order to prove he's smart, he says, "Well, my uncle was a professor at MIT." Well, so I think he was going to go into that whole thing, which has nothing to do with you being smart or not, Trump. But I think he was going to go into that whole thing, but then just starts
You know, they're
making up like a
much more
pathological
sophisticated
lie
than computers.
about he basically said his uncle taught the Unabomber, Ted Kaczynski. Like, listen, this is the clip.
Permits, and I have to brag just for a second, because when I first heard about AI, it's not my thing. Although my uncle was at MIT, one of the great professors, 51 years, whatever. He was the longest serving professor in the history of MIT, 3 degrees in nuclear, chemical, and math. That's a smart man. Kaczynski was one of his students. Do you know who Kaczynski was? There's very little difference between a madman and a genius. But Kaczynski, I said, what kind of a student was he, Uncle John, Dr. John Trump? He said, what kind of a student? And he said, seriously good. He said he'd go around correcting everybody, but it didn't work out too well for him. Didn't work out too well, but it's interesting in life. But
Again, now this is an example because you hear MAGA always saying like Trump doesn't lie. Every single part of this is a lie. This never happened. I mean, there's no other way to say this other than this did not happen. Trump sat there. Okay, nope, Dale, don't start. You're going in detention, Dale. I'm telling you, this is not. I know you like to come here and talk about Hillary Clinton's email server. I'm telling you, Dale. If anyone wonders who I'm talking about, that's David, the orange D. His real name's Dale. This is your one warning to not start talking about Hillary's email server, and it's distracting the people whose brains work. If you continue, you're going in detention again for the entire class, just like yesterday. I didn't know you could block someone for the whole live. So now I don't have to necessarily I don't have to block Dale forever. He just goes to detention for the day. Yeah, if you guys don't know Dale/David, he changed his name once he started really being rude to people on the internet. He was my first troll, like years and years and years ago. Me and Nemo and Chelsea, like Political Mom, we used to do lives together, like in the middle of the night. It would be like 2 a.m. and there would be like 15 people in there. And Dale was always there. So I do have a soft spot for the first person that ever started harassing me on the internet. So that's why I can't quit Dale. No matter how annoying he is. I just always let him come back. But he is like, yeah, Dale, I've been seeing you on other people's lives. I think you've gotten much worse than I remembered. I just never watch you. Get Jada to unblock me. Yeah, you're asking the wrong person. But yeah, you can work on that for yourself. I'm sure you did something horrible because Jay barely blocks anyone. Thank you so much for the gift. Okay, so remember, let's go back to the Unabomber. That last warning, Dale, though, you will go in timeout for the whole live if you start talking about something that distracts everyone or annoys everyone. So Trump just makes up Orange Senile Grandpa just makes up that his uncle told him that he taught the Unabomber, and you heard the clip. So Andrew Feinberg, who when I show you, Andrew Feinberg's in the press corps. He's from The Independent, and he just questions KKK Caroline about it again right now in this press conference. So, but this is what he said on Tuesday. He was like, quote, Trump just claimed his late MIT professor uncle, John Trump, taught Unabomber Ted Kaczynski and recalled asking his uncle about him. He's either lying or he hallucinated the entire thing. John Trump could never have taught Kaczynski, who went to Harvard and Michigan, which explains a lot. Go Badgers, not MIT. So, yeah, that's the issue. But that's the issue with whatever Trump. Well, that's the first issue. And then today, Andrew Feinberg, which you could just tell, Caroline Leavitt hates Andrew Feinberg. I love whatever she calls out him. I'm just like, here we go. Here comes something horrible. This is, and he posts this like immediately after the exchange. He goes, Press Secretary deflects when I ask why Trump made up an impossible story about his uncle teaching Unabomber Ted Kaczynski and declines to take my follow-up question about whether he'd pardon Ghislaine Maxwell if the Epstein case is a quote-unquote hoax, like Trump said. Which he better not pardon Ghislaine Maxwell. That's like the only person we held accountable.
Andrew, go ahead.
So on Tuesday, the president told a very detailed story about his uncle, noted scientist John Trump, and Theodore Kaczynski, the late Unabomber. He said that Dr. Trump taught Ted Kaczynski. Ted Kaczynski was not identified as the Unabomber until 1996, 11 years after John Trump passed away. It would have been impossible for John Trump to have ever discussed the Unabomber with the president. So what was he talking about? And I have one follow-up.
Andrew, with so many issues going on in the world, I'm a little bit surprised you would ask such a question, although I'm not sometimes coming from you, I will say, but I'm willing to give you an answer. Nevertheless, the president's uncle did, in fact, teach at MIT. He was a very intelligent professor. The president's very proud of his family. In fact, I have
Nobody, do you see how she's a liar? Like, this is my point. We have got to get people who will just not lie. Do you know what I mean? Nobody's disputing if Trump had an uncle who was a professor at MIT. We're asking why Trump was falling asleep, has these weird things going on with his veins, why his ankles are swollen to the size of tree trunks, why he's literally either hallucinating or is a pathological liar all the time. I think all of that is related, right? Like, he asked this question right after they're talking about Trump's health. It's not like he's just like, and Trump made up story on Tuesday and told the press corps that. So I don't think it's strange at all to be like, hey, like, should we be concerned that, you know, the guy that's grifting, stealing from all of us, covering up trafficking, and, you know, dragging us all. You campaigned on no new wars, releasing the Epstein files. America First has pretty much done the opposite. Should we be concerned if his brain's working, or if he truly believes his uncle told him that? Like, I think it's relevant.
The president has a letter from his uncle on the MIT letterhead that sits in the Oval Office dining room. Maybe we'll let you see it sometime.
Elizabeth. Caroline, one more.
Elizabeth,
will the president consider pardoning Ghislaine Maxwell if the Epstein case is a hoax?
She's like, Elizabeth, go ahead. She's like, shut up, Andrew. It's like, remember how Peter Douchey would always go after well, Peter Douchey does that to everyone, but not Karine Jean-Pierre, like who is it that has a show on MSNBC? Jen Psaki. Like, Jen Psaki used to just go at Peter Douchey, and I thought it was hilarious. Oh, okay, Dale, this is your last warning. More idiotic comments and you'll be going away. No, actually, no. And let me just be clear. Biden's brain did work, right? Biden saw neurologists. Trump is the one that thinks a dementia test is an IQ test. Trump's the one that can't remember when and where he is. But actually, that's less important to me. I'm more concerned with policy, right? Like, Trump wants to be a dictator. Trump is consolidating power in the executive branch to the point where he's disempowering and asking the judiciary and the legislative branch to cede power to the executive branch. So if you're saying, no one's smarter than me, I'm God, I know everything, I can't, who was it? It was Brazil's president, Lula Silva, who just said Trump was elected to be the president of the United States, not the emperor of the world, you know? And if somebody who is this incapable of remembering anything, telling the truth, doing math, all of these things, wants to be the emperor of the world or the dictator of America, that's concerning to me. Because, and I said this all the time, what Biden was really good at is putting people in the right roles, right? Real CEOs and people who manage a lot of people. You don't need to know everything. Your job is not to rule the world and control everyone and everything. It's being smart enough to put qualified people in the right places, right? Who are very intelligent, and you let them do their jobs and advise you. And you take their advice. And that's what Biden did well. I'm not saying Biden was not some sort of like, amazing genius. He just had a ton of experience, went out, got a really good stack of an amazing pool of talent, one of the like most talented pool of people I've ever seen, and said, "Hey, you know your lane, and I'm going to have you advise me on what to do." And and that's how you run government. Like, people still, I could give you many, many examples of that, but like one of my favorite is, do you remember when Trump started saying that Biden had shut down LNG exports? First of all, he never shut down LNG exports. He shut down new contracts, but we were still exporting more LNG than anyone else in the world. Liquid natural gas. If you're like, what the hell are you talking about? Talking about liquid natural gas. And the reason for the pause was the people who were in charge and could do statistical analysis really well were very worried about the increase in exports. But Trump never told the real story. And I say everyone who heard about this, because I think MAGA knows what I'm talking about, maybe more than leftists do, because this was more of like a MAGA conspiracy theory. Oh, Biden, we were always energy independent, right? We were always exporting more than we were importing under Biden. We were energy independent right after Trump's administration, or maybe in the last year of even Trump's first administration. I can't quite remember. But the reason we had paused new LNG export contracts with countries that weren't, it was twofold. It was about certain things with new countries and climate and how it was going to affect the world. But more importantly, go find that report. It's not that long. It was about, particularly in the South, this is going to happen in red states. Your prices for energy are going to skyrocket because of the exports. Like, Biden was concerned about prioritizing the exports to countries over keeping prices low domestically. And that's still an issue. And that report is super scary. And so I would say, if you, for any reason, or you're in a state where you're dependent on LNG, like I don't live in a state, I think, where that is an issue. But if you are, go find that report. It's not that long and pretty easy to read, or just put it into AI. It will summarize it for you. Biden never was a president. Oh, yes. I'm sorry. I meant, Obama wearing Biden's skin suit. Yes, Biden was tied up in the basement. God, people are so not smart. That's not an intelligent thing to say. Like, why am I in this hellscape with people whose brains don't work? He's like, yep, now you got it. I knew it. And if people think I was being hyperbolic, understand there is a whole cross section of MAGA who truly believe that. I don't suggest you hang out on X, but I wasn't just like, oh, let me say something crazy. That's truly what they think. That is 100% one of their most believed theories, was that Obama was wearing Biden's skin. And he was just up in the basement of the White House. That's what they say. I don't exactly know how they believe that's true, but they truly do believe it. Well, yeah, and it's not. Here's the thing. It's less about, like, me personally, how do I feel? Because I promise you, if Trump was just some creep and he was an asshole, but like the math was mathing, then I don't care. Right? If the big, beautiful bill wasn't the largest transfer of wealth to the top of the economy in US history, if it was something reasonable that I thought benefited the rest of us over billionaires, or maybe it was even a little bit even, I wouldn't, like, I don't. I come from a family of crazy, highly intelligent, but not the best people necessarily. Like, I don't judge people based like on morals, right? It's more like utilitarian. Are you good at your job? Are you good at putting people in the right places? And so we, the American people, the average American, not 800 to 1,000 billionaires, can succeed. Okay, Rat, I know it was funny for a second, but I'm just telling you right now, this is not the place to spam the chat. This is we're going to do some learning, but we're going to get into, before we get into the Epstein stuff, because I have some really interesting updates. not conspiracy theories, Rat, but some updates on what's going on with all that. I want to show, I'm sure people who are following politics have seen what happened this morning in Congress. There was a like insane walkout in the Senate, and I think I have pretty much all of it on tape. So I'm trying to think of what order to go in with this. So Matt and I, USMC Angry Veteran, in our live on Tuesday, Matt brought this up. Emil Bove. If you're like, who the F is that? That was one of Trump's lawyers doing the Stormy Daniels case. He was one of Trump's, like, I think he was second chair. Todd Blanche was first chair. Emil Bove was second chair. Todd Blanche is like second in charge of the DOJ behind Pam Bondi, I think. And Emil Bove has, he's also very powerful. But Trump, and my real fear and what I believe is going on is that Trump is forcing this guy, I believe, into the Third Circuit, which is above Pennsylvania. He's trying to force his confirmation as a federal judge in order to then appoint him to the Supreme Court. If I had to guess, I'd say Emil Bove's future is to be the next creepy, Gollum. I'm sorry, I meant Samuel Alito. I get them mixed up sometimes because they look so similar. Gollum, Jesus-loving Gollum, Samuel Alito, and his scary wife who won't stop putting flags up outside of their house and threatening their neighbors. I think that is the path. So he's trying to force through this confirmation. Now, remember, since Emil Bove, and I'll say this, don't sleep on Emil Bove. He's smart and capable. That's probably why I'm more scared of him. Because you guys know me, I watched every moment of that. Read every court document in the Stormy Daniels trial. I think Todd Blanche was more like hyperventilating the entire time. Emil Bove drove that defense, and he did everything he could. I could see why Trump likes him. And what he's known for now in the DOJ is basically saying F the rule of law, F the Constitution, allegedly. He says he doesn't remember saying it. But if you remember, in the Kilmar Abrego Garcia case, the guy who's no longer there, I can't remember. Well, they call him the whistleblower now. I don't remember if we ever knew his name, but the lawyer who told the truth under oath in court and just said, yeah, we had no legal reason to deport Kilmar Abrego Garcia. He should never have left. That guy, and then all of a sudden he disappeared and was fired. Well, that guy is now a whistleblower who has contacted Congress and given some statements in writing and I guess under oath, basically saying that Emil Bove sat in meetings and said, F the rule of law, we need to, do whatever Trump wants us to do and whatever it takes and all this stuff. So that's why everyone's like, what the hell is going on with this guy? And why is Trump so intent on making him, remember, just federal judges, lifetime appointments. Once he's in there, can never be undone. Democrats don't really have the ability to stop it anyways. All they were asking this morning when chaos and fighting erupted, actually, I'll say this is more common for the House. This is not usually the kind of thing you see happening in the Senate. So I'm going to show you a couple clips kind of explaining things, and then I'll show you the fight, which went on for 10 minutes. People I've never seen even be upset or show any emotion. The Senate is a bunch of skeletons. It's do you guys care about anything? All of a sudden, I was wow. And Cory Booker was screaming in there for 10 minutes. And he's none of these people ever get mad. He's look what you've done. It was actually pretty interesting to watch. But first, I want to show you Sheldon Whitehouse talking about Emil Bove. And this is before the craziness breaks out. So I'll show you this, and then I'm going to show two clips of Cory Booker kind of explaining all of this, and then I'll show you the actual fight.
To Emil Bove, let me start with this nominee having told a room full of
okay, David. Dale, you have to go to detention for the rest of the day. We can try. Maybe we'll try again next week. You're talking too much. Sorry, I had to get rid of Dale.
Let me start with this nominee having told a room full of Department of Justice lawyers that if the federal courts didn't back off on restricting unlawful deportations, they would have to tell courts, F you. I hope we can agree that telling courts F you is not an attribute we want in someone seeking to be a judge. We know that he said it because it is so abundantly corroborated in real-time communications among the lawyers present.
What he's saying is they're all in this meeting. Emil Bove is saying F the. Oh, by the way, I forgot another shady thing. This is also the guy that got Eric Adams off, right? And remember, there was like 7 lawyers, the lead prosecutor, and then 7 other lawyers who like left the DOJ because they're like, yeah, Eric Adams is guilty. Not only is he guilty, we have more evidence. They wanted to bring what they call a, oh my God, why can I not remember something? It's an indictment where they basically add charges to the original charges. If you remember back in October, I read the Eric Adams indictment because I have never, like, I just want to be clear about, if you believe Eric Adams when he says, oh, I don't know what's going on, like I didn't do anything, that's how I know you can't read. If you want to read it, they should make a movie out of whatever Eric Adams did. I mean, he stole taxpayer money, basically. He did a lot of shady things. And it's not like, oh, Uncle Billy says he saw Eric Adams commit a crime, but there's no other witnesses. It's financial crimes, crimes over the wires, like, and they have his own employees testifying against him. Like, he did superseding indictment. Thank you. God, smartest chat in the world. Never have to remember anything. I was going to say preceding, and I was like, that's not right. Yeah. They tried to add a superseding indictment. Remember, like I read over and over, you can look all this up in the New York Times. They had like the letter from the head prosecutor that quit saying, hey, he's guilty. And there's no reason, not just of the first indictment, but there's additional evidence and charges that we tried to bring that Emil Bove basically quashed. Like this guy, there's apparently nothing this man won't do for Trump. That's why everyone's so concerned. And again, remember, the Democrats can't stop this guy from being confirmed. They just wanted a chance to debate it, just to say their piece, and they wouldn't let them.
They talk in texts about the FU comment contemporaneously in that very matter. Prosecutors don't get better corroboration than that. We'd also be on solid ground concluding that he lied about it to us in committee. He said he didn't recall. Really? Didn't recall saying something like that in a Department of Justice meeting surrounded by career lawyers?
They all started texting each other. That's what he's saying. While he said it, everyone's like, oh my God, this guy's like violating the ethics of the bar. Like, what's going on? That's what he's saying by corroborating evidence. He's like, a bunch of people in this meeting have showed their notes and text messages.
It's not remotely credible. Lying to our committee also is not a great attribute of a candidate to be a judge. Somehow, he seemed to know that he would get away with it. Meanwhile, over in the United States District Court of Appeals, there is an order suspending Judge Boasberg's investigation into this matter. He announced a contempt investigation to look into what the hell went on at the Department of Justice with respect to these illegal deportations. Emil Bove is in the thick of that. He absolutely will
Forgot about that. Yeah, he's trying to kill Judge Boasberg from finding out. Like, you know how basically lawyers are saying that the whistleblower who they fired immediately, who's like, yeah, we knew we didn't have any like legal reason to deport Kilmar Abrego Garcia. And he's like, I tried to stop the planes and the planes took off, all of that stuff. That's what he's talking about. And he's saying Emile Bove or Bove. It's a very French name. I would like to know how he pronounces it. It's a beautiful name. Too bad he's such a psycho.
Be part of that contempt investigation. And 2 Trump judges on the D.C. Circuit Court of Appeals suspended that investigation. There's a lot of commentary now about how on earth that temporary hours and days suspension has now lasted, what, a month? Perhaps just in time for this committee to ram through this nominee, likely to be a subject of that criminal contempt hearing, while it's delayed.
You see what's happening now? Lush, and I hate it. Thank you for the giveaway subscription. I saw someone else resubscribed. If I miss anyone else subscribing, we're trying to get to 360 subscriptions. Normally I have 500. I had to take a couple weeks off for mental health. Jesse, you received a supporter subscription. Oh, was that you? Did you do 2 giveaway subs? W Lush, and I hate it. And then I saw Caitlin subscribe. Thank you so much. I'm sorry. When I have to talk and not play clip, it's hard for me. If only you could see. I have 5 screens. There's a lot happening. If I missed anyone, thank you so much for your support. I try to thank everyone, but that's what he's saying. He's saying they're pausing this investigation into contempt and what Emile Bove did to fire someone who tried to do the right thing for Kilmar Abrego Garcia. Now they're pausing the contempt investigation and delaying it so they can ram through this confirmation, because once a federal judge is confirmed, that's it. It's a lifetime appointment, right? This is all a big conspiracy, and that's what Sheldon Whitehouse is trying to point out. And again, the Democrats can't necessarily stop this from happening. They're just saying, yeehaw, thank you for the hat. They're just saying, hey, can we say our piece about it? Can we debate it? Can we all speak in this hearing?
If we are being played that way, with Trump judges delaying a contempt hearing that necessarily involves our nominee so that he can be shoved through, something is really rotten in Denmark. This whole mess.
I never knew the saying was rotten in Denmark.
Around those deportations and his lying to this committee is all consistent with Bove's lawless character. He helped cook up an improper deal in a criminal case against the mayor of New York, which his own DOJ colleague called a quid pro quo, and an improper offer of immigration enforcement assistance in exchange for a dismissal of his case. That is disgraceful prosecutorial behavior. Those are some of the problems with this nominee. Then come the problems with our committee process, in which he was pre-licensed to refuse to answer questions. The committee conceded something Congress has never before conceded, that deliberative process and attorney-client privileges overcome our constitutional powers of oversight and advice and consent. Senator Kennedy and I noted this in our bipartisan report on executive privilege in December of 22. I quote, Congress maintains that all other components of executive privilege, besides presidential communications, that the executive branch recognizes, including deliberative process and attorney-client privilege, still quoting here, are not constitutionally grounded and therefore cannot supervene Congress's oversight authority. The majority, having made that astounding reversal and concession, then didn't even follow the rules for assertion of those supposed privileges, neither as to their scope nor as to the process for claiming them. These privileges need to be asserted. It's notable that this nominee never actually asserted them. Plus, he didn't have to, since his non-answers were blessed in advance by the majority. Instead, he hid behind vague claims, not privilege assertions, vague claims of inappropriateness or things not being public or failures to recall. The result was a hearing that more resembled a rackets hearing from The Godfather than a nomination hearing for a Circuit Court of Appeals judgeship. Throw in the Attorney General and Deputy showing up in person to give Republicans in this committee the eyeball, and the resemblance gets worse. Hearing by hearing, month by month, the bar is lowered and lowered and lowered for our constitutional advice and consent oversight. Neither
The bar is in hell. And like, I know he's using a lot of words and saying a lot of things. Let me just explain, like, what he's saying is there are no checks and balances in government, right? That's what he's saying. He's saying the Supreme Court is ceding power to Trump. I mean, Congress has no spines, right? And they're going with whatever Trump says. We're about to confirm a federal judge who's under investigation for violating, the ethics of the bar and the Constitution. Like, I mean, everything is wrong. Every single thing. And the question is just, I mean, and truly, I think MAGA is the one that needs to answer this for themselves. And not, I don't know which, because it's confusing me. There's MAGA, right? The MAGA that's in here in the chat, who kind of, I don't know if they know what's going on with politics, but they're here, right? Like, they're around it. And then there's people that voted for Trump who I think just might have done it because they don't want to pay tax, they make enough money to not want to pay taxes. And maybe they don't understand fully what's happening. And that's, we've always had an education problem in this country, especially around politics and what's going on. But the education issue, combined with being exhausted in capitalism. Like, when I worked in the tech industry, I was still brilliant, but I was working 90 hours a week, like, made a lot of money. But yeah, I thought I was politically savvy back then, but looking back, I had no idea what was going on in politics, because you have to go to sleep. Like, you can't know all of these things. So we have an education problem. We have the exhaustion of capitalism. And then we have the disinformation campaigns, the 24 from Russia, from combine, in correlation with Trump's disinformation campaigns. And that's what we have to figure out how to overcome. And I think, like, when I think about it simply, everybody in the United States, in the face of this, like what we were talking about yesterday was, man, I never knew how the Holocaust happened. There was always, even though I have a history degree and I studied it and I took so many classes on it, I still was just like, I don't get it. Like, how are people sitting there while people are being herded onto trains? Like, why wouldn't you just say something? I know now. Like, we're living it now. And think about it. They had less information back then, right? Like, US planes would like drop leaflets down to try to tell people like what's going on back then. Now we have all the information in the world. Well, maybe too much information in a way where people don't know what to believe. It's the opposite problem. But now I know how you could sit there and watch people be taken to a concentration camp and not just sit there apathetically, because I always used to think it was the apathy that was the problem. But now I see people cheering it on. Thank you. Octopi are the closest thing we have to aliens on the earth, and they're also the smartest. Thank you so much. So now I get it, right? Like, people still think this is a good idea, and I didn't record it because I have so many things to show you today. But I saw a guy making a video, and he was kind of from Alabama, and he was saying, yeah, all these people that I know from my small town who voted for Trump, they just voted. And then they're just like, he's making America great again. And he was giving examples of how he would go back to people and say, well, did you know Trump did this? And they would just say, no, I have no idea what you're talking about. They'd just be like, he's doing a great job. It's like, once every 4 years, some people cast a vote and they're just like, Everything's great now, and they just go on their way. So I'm only calling this out to say, like, how do we overcome this, right? Like, the people's receipts is my answer to that. Like, I always thought when I was a regular teacher and I had to follow curriculum, like, I would teach differently. I would use different teaching tools. I would show funny clips. Like, I would make it more interesting. This is like education for adults with ADHD. That's what the people's receipts is. And I think we have to figure out, like, not just how are you going to save the kids from idiocy, because the children, when MAGA, when you say, hey, it's a good idea to abolish the Department of Education, it really is not mathematically. I can make a mathematical argument of how you won't be able to retire because of it. The children, you are depriving of equity in education and this extra services or help they need, right? Like affirmative action to give them the same care and education that children that have resources have, right? When you deny children that, it's the lifetime earnings of these children that we all have to retire off of. And look this up if you don't believe me, MAGA. Look up studies that are done that say when children don't have access to just something as simple, or it sounds like, who cares? Pre-K education. You deny a child pre-K education, and it limits their lifetime earnings by thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars. And you're like, who? I don't care. Who cares? No, we need to care because it's their lifetime earnings that are taxed, and that's the money we get help Medicare off of. That's the money we get Social Security off of. Right? So that's why it does matter to you, even though you don't think it does. It very much does. Or like if a kid doesn't have school lunch, like I taught second grade for a couple years, there were kids when it was worse in student teaching. I had, a class of like 40 first graders. I think there were 3 languages being spoken in the classroom. There were kids, if they missed that morning muffin and carton of milk, they weren't eating until lunch, and they got a little lunch for free at school, and they weren't eating until the next day for breakfast. And your brain doesn't work. And when you don't learn, it limits your lifetime earnings, limits how much taxes you pay to the government, limits life expectancy even. All of this stuff goes into it. When you can't go to the doctor when you're sick, all of this stuff will affect our ability to retire. All of it is connected. So that's what we need to start seeing. We are biting off our nose to spite our face. What? Sorry, I'm reading. If you're wondering what the F I'm doing, my live does not contain the content mentioned in the notice. Sorry, I just get violation. I've never seen that violation. It said that, my live has been restricted in visibility because I'm primarily directing people off the app. What? I've never seen that one. I appealed, but I have no idea. This happens to me every day. If it's not one thing, it's another. So whatever. But let's get to what I need to. Oh wait, let me maybe make sure I find it, because hopefully we'll win that appeal. Because
Emil Bove, let me start with.
I don't think I've ever directed anyone off this app. I actually worked I worked for a pre and post IPO social media huge social media company. So I actually know that that's bad. Yeah. They don't like you to direct people off any app, which I don't believe that I did purposely, ever. Let me find this clip. I want to show you. Oh, okay. Just 2 short clips of Cory Booker, and then I'm going to show you the fight that broke out this morning in the Senate, which it's actually kind of good to see senators start caring about something. Like, it's good to know they're breathing and they're angry, because it's like sometimes I can't tell if they care about anything, which is infuriating to me. Cory, where did you go? Sorry. Where is my clip? Almost. Here we go. Oh, yeah. Okay. So first I'm going to show you Cory Booker happened. It's so funny all this happened this morning. And now I know why he was on Midas Touch last night, because this is what he was talking about. He was talking about the hearing they were going to have last night with Brett. Wait. What's the other brother? Not Brett, the other one. I think I'm getting them mixed up. What's the older one? Not Brett, but the oldest Mycellus. What's his name? Sorry, I'm trying to remember words, and I know you guys know. Ben, thank you. I knew it was a B, and I was like, Jordy. I know Jordy. I know the one with the J, but yeah, I can never. I always get Ben and Brett, I believe the oldest one. So again, this is, oh no, yeah, he was on Legal AF, which if you've never heard of the Midas Touch podcast, Legal AF, it's amazing, especially if you're a subscriber and you get all their content without commercials.
Now, with President Trump consistently attacking the judiciary when it doesn't do what he wants them to do or tells them to do, we now see him wanting to get rid of a check and balance on the judiciary. And the way he is doing that is through his ability to put people on the court that don't reflect a certain judicial philosophy. You know, I would obviously disagree with conservative judicial philosophies, but are simply ones that will follow his orders. And this is what he said on Truth Social about Bovee. He said, this is a person that will do, quote, anything necessary, end quote, to support his MAGA agenda. He's putting people on that are not coming out of a certain sort of judicial thought, area of judicial thought. They are just loyalists who are proven loyalists. And in this case, what Bovee has done and what this whistleblower has pointed out to is he has no respect for the rule of law whatsoever. He is a Donald Trump acolyte, or someone who will just follow what Donald Trump says he'll do. And in the worst way, when there were a potential, as you said with the Abrego Garcia case, is that he just said to people, excuse my language, but fuck the rule of